this fellow can't orient itself in any direction. Quantum mechanics permits you to do that. And what does it do? It makes this vector actually orient itself in such a way that this root 2 has a projection of 1, because L equals 1, and 1 in units of h cross. It's 1 h cross. Or it can have a projection of 0, or it can have a projection of minus 1. So the moment I say L equals 1 for an atom, of course it's the same thing for L equal to 1 for a little electron. Because the azimuthal quantum number L, let's say L equal to 1 for one electron, it simply means that electron can orient its angular momentum this way. When I say capital L for the atom, what does that mean? I have taken all the electrons in the atom, put them together, got my term state, and for that term state, capital L is 1 with a total orbital angular momentum resulting from the collection of all these electrons. And then when I say L equal to 1, I am simply saying that L can orient itself plus 1, 0 or minus 1 with a magnitude root 2. That's what it means. But what's the reference direction? You don't have a reference direction for atom until you put a magnetic field. And it's in many experiments, like Zeeman experiment or a Stark experiment, you will do that. You will put an electric field in some direction. You will put a magnetic field in some direction. And then these things become absolutely meaningful. If I don't have a magnetic field, what happens? This plus 1, 0 and minus 1 are three states of the same energy. There's really nothing to choose from. But the moment I put a magnetic field, oh, these three are not the same energy. And that's the whole basis of NMR experiment, which we will see further. We have this. But what happens in the case of molecules, particularly diatomic molecules, which is what we are contemplating here? If I have hydrogen, oh, there's a reference direction fixed. You are actually being handed over a reference direction on a platter. Because the moment I say a hydrogen molecule, a hydrogen here and a hydrogen here, the internuclear axis actually becomes a reference direction field, which is absent in the case of molecules. The molecules, you impose a reference field, a reference direction by putting magnetic field or electric field over time. In the case of molecules, particularly diatomic molecules, it's straightforward. The axis actually serves as your reference field, reference direction. And when the reference direction is given, now you start giving angular momentum, not this way, but you start giving the projection, because you already have a reference direction. You can talk about the projection status. So I don't talk about the angular momentum going this way. I'm actually looking at the angular momentum components along this field and labeling my states based on the projection. I'm not labeling my states based on L, I'm actually labeling my states based on ML, which is the projection on the internuclear axis. So when I say sigma, a sigma state, what is the projection I'm actually getting on that internuclear axis? 0. If I say pi, what is the projection I'm getting? 1. The projection, the moment I say pi, the projection on the internuclear axis is actually 1. So for a sigma state, the projection is 0. For the pi state, the projection is 1. For a delta state, the projection is 0, which essentially means that when I say L equal to 1 and give you this, what do I have? I have one state who has a projection of 0 on this reference axis, and I have two states, plus 1 and minus 1. In the case of molecules, I am not speaking in terms of L, I am actually speaking in terms of the projection because I already have a reference direction. And therefore, I am allowed to talk about the projection of the angular momentum on the axis. So when I say a sigma state, when I say an S state, what do I mean? I mean L equal to 0. When I say a P state for an atom, what do I mean? L equal to 1. Who has projections plus 1, 0, minus 1? In the case of molecules, when I say sigma, what do I mean? I am not even talking about your L's. I am simply saying that the projection of the angular momentum on the internuclear axis is 0. When I say the molecule is in a pi state, what am I talking about? The projection is 1. It could be plus 1 or minus 1, depending on which direction it is looking at. But I basically am talking about angular momentum, which has components plus 1 and minus 1. If I say the delta state, what's the projection going to be? Plus 2 or minus 2. So that's the way you label states for molecules based on the projection on the internuclear axis. A sigma state has projection 0, a pi state has projection plus 1 minus 1, a delta state has projection plus 2 minus 2, and so on. So here is my sigma state. What am I really talking about? Projection 0 on the internuclear axis. For the pi state, what is the projection really going to be? Plus 1 minus 1 and so on. And these projections are given the symbol little lambda. So it's going to be lambda equals 0 in this case, lambda equals to plus minus 1 in this case. If I had a delta state, lambda equals plus minus 2 and so on. Okay. That's the big difference between what you encounter in atoms and what you encounter in molecules. In atoms, I speak in terms of L, the orbital angular momentum. In molecules, I speak in terms of the projection of the orbital angular momentum on the internuclear atom. I speak in terms of 0, plus minus 1, or plus minus 2, and consequently I will get a sigma state, a pi state, or a delta state. So when I have, let's go back to the configuration and see whether we can now use this information and come up with whatever we did earlier. Okay, I have lambda. 2 electrons in the sigma state. In the 2 electrons on the sigma state, what is the lambda for these electrons? Little lambda. They are the sigma state. Sigma molecular orbit. What should be the lambda for them? 0. There are 2 electrons. If I will say lambda 1 is 0 and lambda 2 is 0. And let me take possible combinations of these two. What will I get? 0 and 0. I only get 0. And therefore, the capital lambda, which is the equivalent of the equivalent of L in your atomic spectroscopy. You know, we wrote little l, L1, little L2, and then came up with capital L for the atom. Here we write little lambda for each of these electrons, and then come up with the capital lambda, which is going to be my total orbital angular momentum projection on the internuclear axis. What is this going to give me? 0. If lambda equals 0, what state is that? Sigma. If the sigma and 2 electrons are paired, what do I get? Sigma, singlet. And both of them are in G states, therefore singlet sigma G. So while I earlier told you, use what you know in atomic spectroscopy and see whether you can derive, I get the same thing. But of course, I give you configurations where if you take the atomic spectroscopy and take it over, you get the same configurations. But sometimes that can be a problem. That's the reason we are learning how to do it based on the actual projections of the angular momentum. Let's take this one. P pi. So the configuration is 1s sigma, 2 P pi. What is little lambda 1? 0, because that is the first electron which is sitting in a sigma orbital. Therefore, lambda 1 is a projection of the angular momentum on the internuclear axis. It must be 0, but sigma state is a 0. What is little lambda 1, lambda 2 for this one? 1. Plus minus 1. 2 possibilities. Therefore, what are the possible values of capital lambda I can get by taking combinations of these? I can get plus 1 and a 0 and a minus 1 and a 0. So what will I get therefore? If I get plus minus 1, what state am I talking about? Pi state. How many electrons do I have? 1 in each orbital. Therefore, what's the possible spin issues for these? Singlet and triplet. Therefore, I must get the triplet pi. That's what we got earlier. Excepting that, we are using our knowledge now, not of atomic spectroscopy, but we are actually using the lambda values and then deriving what the states must be. What happens when you go to, let's say, a configuration such as 2p51, 3p51. What's the molecule that has 2p52? What molecule is this? 1 is sigma, 1 is sigma star, 2 is sigma, 2 is sigma star, and then 2p5, 2. 10 electrons, therefore B2. So B2 has this configuration. Okay, I am deliberately not taking this configuration, asking you to work it out because we have a problem with what? The Pauli principle. That's the reason I am not doing that. I am taking this one electron and giving it to a 3p pi orbital, and I'm actually looking at the excited state of boron. Because it is an excited state orbital with 2p pi and 3p pi, two different orbitals, we don't have to worry about the Pauli exclusion principle. So let's not worry about Pauli at this point in time. Now let's see whether we can derive the state for this configuration without having to worry about the Pauli, which will be the case if I took the ground state of boron. If I took the ground state of boron, both electrons are the same orbital really, and therefore you have to worry about the Pauli. Let's not get into that complication. So to make matters a little easy, I have simply taken this electron and put it up here and give you this configuration 2p pi, 3p pi. Let's see whether you can come up with what is that? What's lambda 1? 1. Lambda 2? 1. What are the values for this? Plus minus 1. Plus minus 1. So take possible combinations. Plus 1. Plus 1. Plus 1. Minus 1. Minus 1. Plus 1. Minus 1. Minus 1. Four possible combinations I can come up with. And if I add this, what do I get? The capital lambda. What is this going to give me? 2. What is this going to give me? Now these two together must be what? Delta state. So this and this together should give me a delta state. What is this? 0. What is this? What state must this be? And what state must this be? So what do I get really from 2p pi, 3p pi? What are the possible states I am getting? I am getting two sigma states. I am getting one delta state. What about the spin of all these guys? What are the possible spin values that I can get for this configuration? There are two electrons. They can either be singlet or they can be triplet. I don't have to worry about the Pauli principle. So what happens then in this case? I will get a triplet sigma, singlet sigma, triplet sigma, singlet sigma, triplet delta. Okay. What is different from what you saw here compared with what you saw for the atoms? That's why I did this configuration. If you had an atom and you had a 2p1, 3p1, what are the possible states you got for that? Triplet T. You got a P, you got an S, and you got a D. What are you getting here? Only the S and the D part you are getting. You don't get the P part. Why am I not getting the P part? Because I am not taking the L as my reference for mixing up or adding angular momentum. I am only taking the projection. Why am I taking the projection? There is always a nuclear axis which will couple the angular momentum, and therefore I am only taking projections. If I take only projections, this is what I will get. So a 2p pi, 3p pi configuration looks like a 2p1, 3p1 configuration for an atom, But in the case of atom where L is taken and then the whole thing is worked out, you get S, P and D. Well, in this case, since you're taking only the projection on the nuclear axis as your angular momentum to be coupled, what do you get? You get delta, you get sigma. You don't get the pi part, you don't get the T part. So while I kept telling you to begin with, take the 1s2 orbital diagram and tell me what state you get and tell me what you get for molecules, I was almost making it look like if you knew atoms, you knew molecules all the time. No, I already took those examples where it worked. This one is not the one that works like atoms. It works a little differently. And the difference actually is sort of manifested simply because in one case I'm taking L and I'm adding all the possible values. In this case, I'm taking the projections and I'm adding all the possible values. So if I give you this combination 2p pi, 2p pi and ask you what the possible term states are, it's going to be sigma sigma triplet sigma, another sigma sigma triplet sigma, and you will get sigma delta and triplet delta. Those are the possibilities. Of course, you can play variations on this. Supposing I remove an electron here, and what would that molecule be? B2 plus. If I ask you what the term state for B2 plus, what would that be? Simply be a 2p by 1 system. Lambda equals 1. If lambda equals 1, what is your state you're going to be dealing with? A pi state. And if you had only one electron, what should be the spin? Doublet. Therefore, a B2 plus will have as its ground state a doublet pi state. A hydrogen will have as its ground state signet sigma G. A B2 plus will have as its ground state a doublet pi. And what would this be?